In the opening scene, we meet Phil Hamersley, a congressman enjoying a peaceful day at the lake with his loyal dog. His tranquility is interrupted by fellow politician Thomas Reynolds, who approaches for a serious conversation. They delve into a pressing issue, the upcoming vote in Congress on a controversial bill that would grant the government extensive surveillance powers over American citizens. Hamersley stands firmly against the bill, citing concerns over privacy violations. Reynolds, however, argues that the legislation is crucial for national security. As their debate intensifies, Hamersley, prioritizing the rights of his constituents, decides to leave with his dog. Tragically, before he can reach his car, an agent accompanying Reynolds takes his life, staging the scene with a bottle of heart medication to suggest a natural death. Fortunately, Daniel Zavitz, a wildlife researcher, has set up a camera that captures the entire incident. Upon reviewing the footage, Zavitz realizes the truth behind the congressman's supposed heart attack and promptly alerts a journalist friend to expose the shocking reality. In a different moment, Zavitz is seen retrieving a videotape from the camera positioned near the murder scene. One of Reynolds' agents spots him, prompting several ANSA agents to head to Zavitz's residence. As Zavitz copies the video onto a computer disk, he cleverly conceals it within a video game console. Meanwhile, the NSA agents attempt to break in, but Zavitz makes a narrow escape using the fire escape ladder. While he flees, satellite tracking pinpoints his location, and NSA agents are hot on his trail. At the same time, we are introduced to Robert Clayton Dean, a labor lawyer representing a union member who has suffered at the hands of mafia boss Paulie Pento. Dean reassures his client that he will take care of the situation with Pento. Later, he visits a restaurant where he encounters Rachel Banks, his former girlfriend, who hands him a videotape in exchange for cash. Dean then heads to the Pento social club to confront the mafia boss responsible for his client's injuries. He presents Pento with the videotape Rachel provided, revealing footage of Pento meeting with union officials, a clear violation of his parole. After a tense negotiation, Dean and Pento strike a deal. Pento will improve contracts for Dean's clients, and in return, Dean will destroy all copies of the tape. However, the fact that someone has been filming his private affairs infuriates Pento, who threatens Dean's life if he doesn't disclose the source of the videotape. Pento gives Dean a week to reveal the informant or face deadly consequences. As Dean leaves the club, one of Pento's men jokingly tells him to smile for the FBI, who are watching from a nearby building. In the following scene, Dean is seen shopping in a lingerie store, picking out gifts for his wife. Zavitz, who we saw being pursued by NSA agents, unexpectedly runs into Dean, an old college buddy. Dean hands Zavitz his business card, and while Dean is distracted, Zavitz discreetly slips a disc containing a murder video into Dean's shopping bag before making a hasty exit, still on the run. In a desperate attempt to escape, Zavitz grabs a bike and speeds down a crowded street, only to be tragically struck by a truck, resulting in his instant death. When the NSA agents discover Dean's business card on Zavitz's body but find no videotape, they show up at Dean's home, posing as local police officers. Unaware that Zavitz had hidden the tape in Dean's bag, they question him. Dean firmly denies having any sensitive materials and refuses to allow them to search without a warrant. After the agents leave, Dean attempts to locate the materials, oblivious to the fact that his son has already removed the device from his shopping bag. However, the NSA agents don't stay away for long. They break into Dean's house the following day, thoroughly searching the premises and installing video and audio bugs throughout, creating chaos. Additionally, the NSA spreads a damaging rumor in the media, claiming Dean is having an affair with Rachel Banks, a woman he met at a restaurant who provided him with video evidence against mafia boss Pintero. This scandal leads to significant repercussions for Dean, resulting in his termination from the law firm and eviction from his home by his wife. When he attempts to check into a hotel, he discovers that all his credit cards have been canceled, and as he stands there in disbelief, someone casually walks off with his briefcase. Dean suspects that everything is connected to the mafia tape Rachel gave him, so he arranges to meet her in a public location. He asks Rachel to set up a meeting with Brill, the true source of the mafia tape, who had previously supplied Dean with such videos through her. Unfortunately, Dean has never met Brill face-to-face and has no idea what he looks like. Meanwhile, Reynolds' men are eavesdropping on Dean and Rachel's conversation, leading them to send a decoy Brill to meet Dean and discover the whereabouts of the murder footage. This imposter successfully convinces Dean that he is the genuine Brill and claims to be there to assist him. He soon inquires about the murder footage that Savitz had slipped into Dean's shopping bag earlier. As this unfolds, they find themselves pursued by the real Brill, who eventually confronts Dean and takes him to a hotel elevator. There, he forces Dean to remain silent at gunpoint and removes several agents had hidden in Dean's clothing. He then brings Dean to the rooftop, revealing that his true identity is Edward Lyle, a retired NSA agent. When Dean questions whether the Mafia is after him, Lyle explains that the situation is far more serious, stating that the NSA is actually pursuing him due to the military-grade bugs planted on him. As a helicopter spots them on the rooftop, Lyle realizes Dean must still have tracking devices and instructs him to strip off all his clothes before they leave. Brill advises Dean to maintain his distance from both him and Rachel. Once Brill departs, Dean finds himself on the run from the NSA, still burdened by trackers hidden in his clothing. The agents relentlessly pursue him, and as Dean realizes the extent of their pursuit, he hastily sheds his clothes, much to the amusement of an elderly couple watching nearby. In a daring escape, Dean climbs balconies, snatches a robe, and ignites a fire to set off the building's fire alarm. Amid the chaos, he ends up in an ambulance, where he receives treatment for smoke inhalation. Seizing the opportunity, he swipes a police officer's gun, escapes the ambulance, and makes a break for a tunnel. However, even there, he remains under the watchful eye of the NSA through CCTV. Ultimately, he manages to evade capture by giving his robe to a tunnel worker, leaving the agents frustrated. Returning home, Dean reassures his wife that he is not having an affair with Rachel. He soon discovers that his son has the device that Savitz slipped into his shopping bag at the store. After a brief conversation with his son in the back seat of the car, he retrieves the crucial device. Dean then visits Rachel's house, sneaking inside only to find that she has been murdered. He realizes that the clothes he discarded at the hotel were planted to frame him for her death. A photo of the real Brill with a young Rachel reveals that Brill was a family friend. Dean contacts Brill again, and they meet to discuss the dire situation. Brill reveals that the NSA killed Rachel to frame Dean and discredit him, ensuring that if he goes public, no one would believe a murder suspect. Afterward, Brill heads to the store for food, instructing Dean to stay put. But, as is often the case in movies, Dean disobeys and uses a public phone, inadvertently putting the NSA back on his trail. When the NSA arrives at the store, they quickly secure the CCTV footage. Upon reviewing it, they uncover that Brill is a former NSA agent. Meanwhile, Brill has taken Dean to a secure office where he has been working for the last 15 years. There, they watch the footage of the congressman's murder and begin to piece together the unfolding events. However, as any thrilling story demands, a twist emerges when the NSA tracks them down at this hideout, thanks to the earlier public phone call. The building is stormed by the NSA, but Dean and Brill manage to escape, although the disc containing crucial evidence of the congressman's murder is lost in a fire. In the film's climax, Dean and Brill plot their revenge, aiming to expose the corrupt NSA agents. Their first target is Congressman Sam Albert, a supporter of the surveillance bill. They retrieve some tracking devices that were once attached to Dean's clothing and strategically place them in Albert's hotel room, where he is caught in a compromising situation with his assistant. Brill masterminds this entire scheme to ensure the congressman realizes he's under surveillance, with the trackers leading back to the corrupt NSA faction. Next, Brill disguises himself as an electrician to infiltrate Reynolds' private property, planting additional trackers to ensure Reynolds discovers them. This tactic is designed to flip the power dynamic, making the hunter feel like the hunted. To add to the tension, Reynolds finds an unexplained deposit of $140,000 in his bank account, leaving him bewildered about its source. Reynolds comes to the unsettling realization that all the evidence piling up against him paints a clear picture of corruption. As if that weren't enough, he receives a bouquet from a woman, hinting at a possible affair, which only serves to further ignite his wife's anger. In this tense atmosphere, Brill and Dean successfully capture Reynolds' attention and set up a meeting with him, aiming to extract a confession and record it. Dean arrives at the meeting fully wired, but Reynolds proves to be a tough nut to crack, refusing to incriminate himself. Meanwhile, Brill and Dean find themselves in a tight spot when they get apprehended. In a moment of quick thinking, Dean concocts a story, claiming that the murder tape is in the hands of Paulie Pento, the mafia boss, who has demanded that Dean bring in the source of the tape within a week. He leads them to an Italian restaurant he knows is under FBI surveillance, convincing Pinto that Reynolds is the key to the tape he's worried about. Simultaneously, he reassures Reynolds that they are merely discussing the tape related to the Hammerl murder. As the tension builds, Brill excuses himself to step outside and vomit, inadvertently signaling to the FBI that something suspicious is unfolding at the Pinto Social Club. Inside the restaurant, the situation quickly escalates into a standoff between the agents and the Pinto Mafia, culminating in a chaotic shootout that leaves many dead. Fortunately, Dean and Brill manage to survive the chaos, while the FBI, monitoring the club, springs into action. Ultimately, the dark plot behind the surveillance operation is revealed, leading to the capture of the remaining conspirators by the FBI in the gripping final scenes. The FBI has obscured the NSA's role in these events. The late Pinto is linked to the murder of Rachel Banks, while Dean is cleared of all accusations and makes his way back to his wife and family. Meanwhile, Brill has escaped to a tropical paradise, sending his cheerful regards to Dean through a bug hidden in his television.